Numbers have always been fascinating to humans. They tend to think and believe that a certain number or a particular combination of numbers has its own significance and meaning. This thinking and belief exists across culture and can be observed in both the Eastern and Western societies. Different connotations associated with numbers have indeed affected people's mindsets, practices, and attitudes in life. Today, our aims are to address three main cultural significances of numbers in societies, more specifically, East versus West, how cultural representation of numbers affects people's mindset, practices, and attitudes, how expansion in the usage of numbers affects the way people view and use them in their daily lives, and how the linguistic representation of numbers indirectly causes cultural stereotyping.
Different cultures have different perceptions and beliefs towards a certain number. While one culture may see that a certain number brings good fortune, another may see it as a form of bad luck. This is illustrated by the number 666. Westerners, especially the Christians, associate the number 666 with the beast and Satan. The Chinese culture in Asia, however, consider it as a lucky number because 6 in Chinese is pronounced as
6,
which sounds similar to flow, which means things going smoothly. In particular, we would like to analyze how the cultural representations of the number 8 has affected the way we live and act. In the Chinese communities around the world, 8 is considered the most fortuitous of numbers and is highly regarded as a symbol of luck in addresses, phone numbers, and bank accounts. In fact, the Chinese have revered the number 8 as the luckiest number for centuries, as it is said to be able to have the power to bring about a prosperous future and generate wealth. Such connotations associated with the number 8 are due to its similarity to the pronunciation of Chinese words for prosperity. For instance, the number 8 in Mandarin is
8,
which has a similar sounding to
8,
8 in Cantonese is pronounced as
8,
which sounds like
8,
in both cases
8,
and
8.
means good fortune. Therefore, the number 8 is adulated in the Chinese culture. In addition, due to its perfectly symmetrical shape, no matter which way you cut the number 8, both halves mirror themselves perfectly. Perfect symmetry is associated to having a perfect balance, which is considered the ideal in Chinese astrology. Therefore, number 8 is considered as an auspicious number. Therefore, the number 8 is significant not only because of the number itself, but with the connotations that it carried. This has affected the way people behave in big and small ways, which we will present to you now. The following examples show how the belief in the lucky number 8 has been deeply entrenched in the hearts of the East Asians. Even the modern youngsters believed and followed the practice of the older generations. First, it is very common for Chinese weddings to occur in the month of August. A look into the past. In 8th of August 2008, around 5,000 couples got their marriage certificates in Shanghai, China. Second, the number 8 has influenced the way Chinese firms set their prices in the market. Chinese restaurants set prices like $888.88 on their banquet menus to symbolize good luck, and houses with an 8 in their floor number will be sold at a higher price. In China, the cultural value of the number 8 has also led to the social craze over mobile phone numbers. In 2006, a mobile phone number with the last few digits 8888 was auctioned for US $12,700. The traditional belief in this number has set a trend in the popular culture. On top of that, the Beijing Olympics was set to begin at 8 p.m. on 8th of August 2008. On the other hand, the number 8 to the Western culture does not hold as much significance as compared to the Chinese culture. Since the number 8 has different connotations for different people in different nations, it leads us to wonder whether it can truly bring luck, or is it just a superstition that people want to hold on to as a form of security. Is it an unwavering belief in the number 8, a mere continuation, or the traditional beliefs held by the Chinese, or is it an act against modernization? Though the belief such as having lucky numbers on one's car plate would prosper one's life has no solid scientific proof, it is sure to profit the car dealers who bid and sell the plate number. Therefore, the true effects of such beliefs have been blurred, by which the real has been reduced to the free-floating and self-referential signs of its existence. Whether the belief in what the lucky number 8 will bring is purely a superstitious and self-constructed one, or a real one, is not of a great significance, as long as it is able to bring security and happiness to people. Would you say so?
When people think about symbols, the first image that springs to mind is most likely cryptic pictorial symbols that look like hieroglyphics. However, there are numbers which can also be viewed as symbols. How about eating 1 sausage and 2 eggs placed from left to right for breakfast before an important examination? People have taken the physical depiction of numbers and used them for colloquial phrases and incorporated them into our everyday language. As technology becomes more prevalent in our lives, so does the use of numbers. With the introduction of the internet and text messaging, using numbers as symbols have become the norm. Internet lingo is believed to have originated from a hacker culture where they had developed their own slang. Much of it contains abbreviations and slang that we use today. Numbers were used as letter substitutions and for shorthand language. For example, the letter A was substituted with the number 4, the letter E with the number 3. Unlike the smartphones we have today, mobile phones used to have number pads only. The introduction to mobile phones caused text messaging to be more proliferated. As people began to use text messaging more, so did the use of numbers in our messages. The 3 words I love you became abbreviated to just 3 digits, 143, or using tomorrow instead of tomorrow. Here, we can see characteristics of the hacker culture seeping into the mainstream culture of today, possibly due to the advancement and proliferation of technology. As a result, numbers have become a signifier with different signifieds, changing the way people view numbers. What appears to be the digit 2 to some may also be interpreted as 2 of words such as today or tomorrow. With the internet becoming a big part of our lives, as well as the increasing popularity of social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, where a study from Nielsen shows that 75% of worldwide internet users visit a social network site when they go online, and the average user spends 66% more time on these sites compared to last year. Majority of the people, especially youths, are beginning to use numbers to replace alphabets. In fact, the use of numbers to replace alphabets have become so prominent that experts are worried that the proper use of language and grammar would become obsolete. This problem has been brought up in light of youths starting to use such abbreviations in their schoolwork. The use of number representations in communication through social media is unique to youth culture in the sense that middle-aged adults who attempt to use the same representations are regarded as uncool. Hence, the prominence of number representations in communication becomes an important feature in youth culture as it becomes an identification of youthfulness, and teens exert their youthfulness through the usage of it. Numbers are shown to be an integral part of our daily lives by how it assimilates into the different cultures, as unaware as people may be of it. In the Eastern culture, pictorial depictions seem to play a major role in how people view numbers. Perhaps the written language of Eastern cultures has influenced the way we view numbers. After all, the Chinese language is most famously known to have originated from pictorial depictions. Since the people are from the same culture and also have common knowledge of the same number system, they are able to understand the pun between the number and what it symbolizes. For example, when education becomes a bigger part of the Asian culture, eating 1 sausage and 2 sunny sides up eggs placed from left to right for breakfast before an examination. It is an obvious depiction of the number 100 to symbolize getting 100%. This is a superstition that some very worried mothers observe. Another example would be when people say that they are taking the bus 11 home today. While there really is an actual bus 11, what these people mean is that they are walking home, where the number 11 serves as a pictorial depiction of legs. Furthermore, the number 88 physically represents the Chinese character C, which is a very auspicious word used during weddings. Hence, technology plays a major role in affecting the way people view numbers as it affects people on a global scale.
We also analyze the cultural significance of numbers through its pedagogy. Here we look at how linguistic representations of numbers and the way in which they are taught indirectly cause the formation of cultural stereotypes. The creation of enunciative modalities, stereotyping Asian students as being better at arithmetic than students of other nationalities, is a phenomenon that happens in multicultural societies with the presence of both groups. Baseless? Perhaps not. First off, we shall provide some background information about the interdependency between linguistic culture and mathematics. Language plays an important function in aiding mathematical communication through the use of semiotics. For example, the arithmetic problem 2 plus 2 is not only taught through writing on the board, but communicated as take 2 plus 2 and tell us what you get, which might differ across languages. Every instance of mathematical communication involving the signification of mathematical concepts and relationships is thus a cognitive process involving an active combination of culture as well. We now compare the Western and Eastern difference in methods of calculation and how each is affected by their linguistic culture. The use of numbers in mental calculation has been associated with language processing, but the common use of Arabic numerals in mental calculations has been able to cross culture and language boundaries in that it provides a common ground on which to compare the different pedagogical approach to numbers for each culture. Since the Arabic numerals used are the same across races, the difference in pedagogy and comprehension then accrues up to either the different cultures of each race, or more specifically, the different languages used to approach mathematics.
In recent years, it has been suggested that Chinese, Japanese, and Korean children understand number concepts earlier than children in the West because of the ways their respective languages code numbers above 10. The Chinese word for 11, 11, is literally translated as 10-1, and for 20, the Chinese word 20 is literally 2-10. Consequently, learning to count beyond 10 is easier for Chinese-speaking children than for English-speaking children. Using the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis of linguistic determinism, it holds that people from different cultures undergo different cognitive mental processes because of differences in their languages. In this case then, due to the language differences in the representation of numbers, children's manipulative capacity of numbers was affected. Numbers and their linguistic construction can thus be seen to be underlying causative factors of this cultural stereotype of Easterners and Westerners. Such stereotypes result in a negative impact on societies, especially on students, causing the development of a relatively inflexible mindset shaped by cultural stereotypes and stigmas attached to one's nationality, though this is not actually a genetically determined fact. We also bring in the extended mind hypothesis. For Asian students such as the Chinese or the Japanese, they have been taught to solve arithmetic questions through the use of an abacus, which signifies that they process numbers through mental image, which simplifies their process of learning math. The abacus, with its historical significance in Asian culture in particular, then becomes an extension of the cognitive process of calculation. With such a tool to aid them in their mental cognition, Asians develop to become more advanced in mathematical and mental calculation. Likewise, for the Chinese, the portion of their brain which functions as memory is trained and developed through the Chinese exercise known as 习字, which requires young children to write a certain Chinese character continuously in order to perfect the strokes. This exercise is said to increase the average mind's capacity to remember figures and thus helps with solving math problems as well. Hence, these pedagogical processes, which are culturally distinct from the West, may very well be why the ability to process numbers is different between Eastern and Western students. On a related note, we want to bring to light the fact that there might also be a complete lack of significance for numbers in certain societies. For example, to the Amazonian Piraha tribe, no such concept of numbers even exists. As a result of this pedagogical, or lack thereof, process that these tribesmen undergo through the generations, whereby they have no words for numbers, they cannot even begin to comprehend this concept of more complex number manipulation such as arithmetic. It is interesting to observe that to people like us, who belong in societies which regard numbers with such high importance, societies such as the Piraha tribe are viewed to be lacking such a system. On the other hand, they, having survived all this while without the need for numbers, would deem our system as being excessive. This divergence in perspective demonstrates how the presence of numbers, or otherwise, can affect a society's view of the world. In conclusion, numbers play a much bigger role in society than just being tools of a calculation system. They can affect development of mindsets, practices, and attitudes through notions of luck and superstition, act as pictorial substitutes for alphabets with the influx of the internet and technology in the modern world, influence people's perspectives of the world, and indirectly cause cultural stereotyping. In short, the cultural significance of numbers extends far beyond their surface function. While our project has only focused on the comparison between Eastern and Western cultures, cultural analysis of numbers can further